Hi guys, welcome back to Get Your Play Online. My name is Mackenzie and today we are going to be making these really cool handprint castles. So all you're going to need for this is just some regular white paper. You're going to need some paintbrushes. I have some really big ones. I have some smaller ones, and then I have one really small one. And then we're going to need some washable paint. That is all we're going to need for this one. This one is really fun if you are able to paint you can paint by yourself. It's for our preschoolers and our school agers. And this is just a really fun activity. You are going to get a little bit messy, so I have a wet washcloth with me as well. And then I also have a dry towel just to wash my hands with once I am done painting my hands. So I already poured my paint in my little tray. You don't have to use one. I think it's a little bit easier if you do. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into my blue. I got one sheet of paper and then dip into my blue. And then we are going to put blue all over the top part of our castle. So you want to just get like a really thin layer. So just take little bits of paint at a time. Be really careful. And make sure that if you're doing this on your kitchen table or somewhere that can't get really messy, you put some extra paper down, because you might get some paint on your table if you don't. So just paint. You just want a really thin layer. And then we're going to leave a little bit at the corner for our sun. Make sure you get all those edges. Spread your paint really thin. All right, and then it should look about like that. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our green. I'm using multiple different paintbrushes today, just so I don't have to wash them in between, but you can feel free to go in washers if you don't have as many paintbrushes as I do. All right, so we're going to dip in this green, but we don't want it to be very thick, and so we're going to dip it, and we're going to scrape it on the side like that. And then we're going to go to the bottom. We're going to go to the bottom, way bottom of our paper, and then pull up. It kind of starts to look like grass. Pull up. You're going to want to put a little bit of your green in with your blue. See how it's kind of like overlapping a little bit? You see kind of where it overlaps here? That's kind of how far we want it to go up. Just barely want it to overlap. Up, and it should look like that. So the next thing that we're going to do, I had a little bit of paint on myself, so I'm just going to wash it off really quick. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of our little bit smaller, medium-sized brushes, and we're going to dip into some yellow. We are going to paint our sun. So right at this top corner where we didn't paint anything, that's where we're going to paint. Alright. There we go. And now we have the background for our castle. Alright, so this next part gets really, really messy. So we're going to make sure that we have really, really clean hands before we get started. And make sure you have dry hands. Alright, so this next part, we are going to be painting our hands. Make sure you go ahead and ask mom or dad before you start doing this. And make sure you wash your hands right after you paint your hands. Alright, I'm going to do some purple for mine. I'm just going to open my hand really, really wide with this. And I'm going to put quite a bit of paint on mine because my paint's a little bit more see-through than other paints. And then on the bottom of my palm, I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to kind of round it out to make sure that we have really good edges for our castle. I'm going to get a lot of paint, make sure that it shows up. Now we're going to take our fingers, we're going to paint our fingers too. Yep. And we're going to paint not this part of our thumb, but we're going to paint this part of our thumb. Kind of smooth it over, make sure you got your fingers all painted. So now your hand should look like that. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to put it on the bottom of my, on the very top of my grass, and kind of start with my palm and roll down. So now that my palm and my hand are sticking to the paper, I'm going to press each one of my fingers onto the paper. I'm going to press my palm down. I'm going to hold my paper and lift up. Try not to touch it with my other hand. And now you have a finger or a handprint. So I'm just going to quickly take my rag and just wash off my hand. Just make sure that I don't get paint everywhere. You can take this time to go wash your hands really, really well. Make Make sure you get all of that paint off. If you're a little bit younger, you may want to ask mom and dad to help just to make sure that you get all of that paint off. So you don't want to track paint all over the house. All right. Dry my hand off just a little bit. And then I have some spots that don't have paint. So all I'm going to do is, if you have some spots like in your palm that don't have paint, you're just going to take your paintbrush and just fill it in. I just had a little hole in mine. Just like that. So now I don't have any holes. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take another medium-sized brush. Take some of my paint. I'm going to take my white paint. Open it. I'm going to get a bunch of paint on my paintbrush. Flip this. Point you down so you can see just a little bit better. And so I'm going to go, you see where you have some spaces? You have some spaces right here. I'm going to draw some windows there. I'm going to put a couple coats of white. Follow kind of the curve of your palm, like right here. You want it to be really, really bright. All right. So we're going to set this off to the side because we're still going to need that white again. And we're going to grab a smaller brush. We are going to dip into black. We are just going to outline this. Do like little spots at a time. And just like that, we have outlined it. So now we're going to add some windows. We're just going to make some lines. Now, top part of our castle has some windows. There we go. All right, we're going to set this to the side because we're going to need this again. We've got to wait for our palm to dry before we can add some more windows. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to grab another paintbrush, or you can wash yours, totally fine. And I am going to grab, I think I'm going to grab some pink. That one's empty, so I'm just going to use this pink, I think. Dip it in, and then we are going to make triangles on the tops of our fingertips. Just going to make some triangles. We're going to do that on every single one of our fingers. Kind of turn this around so you can see a little bit better and point it down. All we're going to do is just make those triangles and then fill them in. I want this triangle to be just a little bit taller. It's my tallest finger. We got 2 more. Last one we're going to put on our thumb. All right. Tilt you up just a little bit. Now you've got part to your castle. So now what we're going to do is we are going to grab our black. We are going to make some flags. So all we're going to do is just make a line up like that. We're going to make some swoopy triangles. Just like that. So, line up and swoop down and color it in. Line up, make a little swoop, and connect it to the pool. Last one. Line up. Make a swoop. Connect it to the pool. And now we have got some flags. Oh, I missed one. I missed one on my index finger. Line up. Swoop. And there you go. All right, we have one more thing left to do. We're going to make the windows and the door to our castle. So for that, all we're going to do is we're going to open up our white again. And then we're going to dip it in. And since my brush is square on top, all I'm going to do is pick a spot. And I'm just going to drag that brush down. See how it made a square? That's all I'm going to do. Alright, and so for the door, all I'm going to do is I am going to make an upside down U. Start at the bottom, just make a U. Just like that. All right. So now we've got the door and those windows. We are going to take our really small brush again, dip into that black. We're just going to outline them. Outline those windows. And we're going to put a plus sign in the middle of them. See my plus signs? Right in the middle. Just one line down, one line across. And there we go. Here is our castle all done. Wait for it to dry, and then you can hang it up and put it wherever. Make sure that you take some pictures if you decide to do this activity with us. We love seeing your pictures. Don't forget to enter this week's giveaway for a really fun activity packet for next week's theme. And then don't forget to join us for our last activity of the week. We hope to see you guys, and see you guys later.